My beloved child, listen carefully, because this message is not random, and it is not late. It is arriving at the exact second heaven decided you were ready to know the truth. Archangel Michael stands near you right now, sword lowered, not to strike, but to reveal. What has been hidden in silence, wrapped in excuses, and buried under family smiles is beginning to surface. Someone in your family has been carrying a financial secret, and tonight, heaven itself is pulling back the curtain. This is not about curiosity. This is about protection. This is about justice. This is about you finally understanding why certain things never added up. You have felt it before. A strange pause when money with disgust. A sudden change of subject. A story that never stayed consistent. You brushed it off, telling yourself, it's probably nothing. But your spirit knew better. That quiet discomfort you felt was not imagination. It was discernment awakening. Archangel Michael says the reason this is being revealed now is because the secret has reached its expiration date. What was hidden was starting to affect your future decisions, your peace, and even your provision. Heaven will not allow you to keep walking blind while someone else benefits from your trust. Pay attention. This is not necessarily about theft in the obvious sense. It could be a debt taken in your name, an inheritance redirected, a business decision made without your knowledge, money promised to you but delayed on purpose, or resources quietly drained while you were told to be patient. The form may surprise you, but the feeling will confirm it. Archangel Michael is very clear. The secret was covered up before, and they are planning to cover it again. That is why this message carries urgency. Not panic, but timing. There is a narrow window where the truth is exposed, documents are vulnerable, conversations slip, and signs appear. If you ignore this moment, the door may close again for a long time. You might be wondering, why would heaven show me this? Why now? Because you have been asking for clarity, not with your mouth, but with your endurance. You kept moving forward even when things didn't make sense. You stayed respectful even when you felt underestimated. Heaven has watched that restraint, and now says, enough confusion. This revelation is not meant to destroy your family. It is meant to stop a cycle of silence, imbalance, and quiet manipulation that has been passed down longer than you realize. You are the one chosen to see it clearly, not to explode in emotion, but to respond with wisdom. Here is what Archangel Michael wants you to understand before anything is revealed. Do not confront immediately. Do not accuse emotionally. Observation comes before action. Evidence comes before words. Heaven is sharpening your discernment so that when the truth shows itself, you recognize it without doubt. Over the next hours, pay attention to what feels accidentally revealed. A message meant for someone else. A bank alert that wasn't expected. A conversation you overhear without trying. A sudden defensiveness over a simple question. These are not coincidences. These are cracks in the cover. You may feel anger rise. That is human. But Archangel Michael warns, anger clouds strategy. Calm exposes truth. The power in this moment is not in reacting. It is in seeing clearly while others assume you still don't know. This is also why heaven waited. If this had been shown to you earlier, it would have broken your trust completely. Now, you are strong enough to hold truth without collapsing under it. You are able to choose your next move instead of being driven by shock. Another important truth. This secret is connected to a delay you have experienced. Something you were meant to receive, financially or materially, was slowed because of this hidden action. Once the truth comes out, momentum begins to return. not instantly but steadily. Heaven always restores in stages, so nothing is wasted. Archangel Michael says, "Do not doubt what your spirit confirms." You may be told, "You're overthinking." You may hear, "That's not what happened." But the truth has a weight to it. When you see it, you will feel a strange calm, not chaos. That calm is confirmation. Tonight is about awareness, not exposure. Heaven is letting you see the truth first, privately, so you can move wisely. Public exposure may come later, or it may not be needed at all. Sometimes the greatest victory is no longer being deceived. If this message is resonating deeply, it is because you are already standing near the truth. One more step, one more sign, one more confirmation, and the picture becomes clear. Archangel Michael is with you in this moment, not to stir fear, but to guard you as your eyes open. What was hidden cannot stay hidden any longer. My cherished one, now that your eyes are beginning to adjust to what heaven is unveiling, Archangel Michael draws even closer, not to rush you, but to steady you. What you sensed earlier was only the first ripple. This phase is about understanding why this financial secret was hidden and how it was allowed to continue for so long. Heaven does not reveal truth to confuse you. It reveals truth to empower you. The person involved did not begin with harmful intentions the way you imagine. It started small. A decision justified as temporary. A choice explained away as necessary. Over time, what began as convenience turned into concealment. Archangel Michael says this is why the energy around this situation feels heavy but not purely evil. It is layered with fear, insecurity, and a desperate attempt to maintain control. You may realize that this person believed you would never notice. Not because you are unaware, but because you are trusting. You lead with heart. You assume honesty. And in doing so, you became the easiest person to keep in the dark. This is not weakness, it is purity. But even purity must be protected. There is something important Archangel Michael wants you to hear clearly. This revelation is not about revenge or confrontation. It is about repositioning yourself. Once you see where the imbalance occurred, you stop standing in places where your resources, financial, emotional, or spiritual, are quietly drained. The truth changes your posture. Pay attention to the timing. The reason heaven is showing you this now is because a decision is approaching. A signature, a discussion, a responsibility, or a commitment that would further entangle you if you remained unaware. If you moved forward without this knowledge, the cycle would deepen. This revelation is a divine interruption. You might notice that the person involved becomes unusually anxious or overly generous soon. Guilt has a way of surfacing before truth does. Watch closely. Sudden kindness, unnecessary explanations, or attempts to steer conversations away from finances are subtle indicators. You are not meant to accuse, but you are meant to observe with clarity instead of emotion. Archangel Michael says something else that may surprise you. Not everyone in your family knows the full truth. One person carried the secret, but others unknowingly benefited from it or ignored signs because it was easier not to ask questions. This is why heaven is speaking to you. You are the one with the courage to see without denial. As this awareness grows, you may feel a shift inside yourself, a quiet strength replacing confusion. That is your authority returning. When truth enters, intimidation leaves. You no longer need permission to ask wise questions. You no longer need to minimize your intuition to keep peace. Now hear this carefully. Do not rush the exposure. Let clarity mature. Let patterns become obvious. When you speak later, your calm will speak louder than accusation ever could. Archangel Michael reminds you that truth delivered with composure carries divine weight. If this message is resonating with your spirit, take a moment right now to support this work. Like this message so it reaches others who are also standing on the edge of revelation. Share it with someone who needs clarity but doesn't yet have the words. Leave a comment declaring that you are choosing truth over confusion. And if you feel called, subscribe to this channel and join the community, because these messages are not accidental, and neither is your presence here. When you engage, you align yourself with the flow of what heaven is releasing. This channel exists to bring light where silence has ruled, and your interaction helps spread that light further than you realize. Heaven uses willing hands and open hearts, and sometimes a simple act of engagement becomes part of someone else's breakthrough. As the day unfolds, expect small confirmations, numbers repeating, conversations circling back to money, memories resurfacing unexpectedly. These are not distractions. They are pieces assembling themselves. Archangel Michael is guiding your attention gently, not forcefully. Do not isolate yourself in this process. You are not alone, even if you keep this awareness private for now. Heaven stands with those who choose truth, even when truth is uncomfortable. Strength is not loud, it is steady. And before you move on, stay connected. What comes next will answer the question you've been quietly asking in your heart, the one you've never said out loud. Hold on, because the next unfolding will bring everything into sharper focus, and you will be glad you stayed present for it. My precious one, now the atmosphere shifts. What was once hidden in shadows is beginning to feel exposed, not outwardly yet, but inwardly. Archangel Michael says this is the stage where truth starts pressing on the conscience of the one who hid it. You may not see confrontation, but you will sense unease. Silence will feel louder. The air around conversations will feel tense, even when nothing obvious is said. This is where many people become afraid and pull back. But heaven says, do not retreat now. You are not being asked to act. You are being asked to stand. Stand in awareness. Stand in self-respect. Stand in quiet authority. The truth does not need shouting to be powerful. You might begin to remember moments from the past that suddenly make sense. Statements that felt off. Decisions that felt rushed. Times when you were discouraged from asking questions or told you wouldn't understand. These memories are returning not to hurt you, but to complete the picture. Archangel Michael says memory is being redeemed right now. Understand this clearly. The financial secret was not just about money. Money was the tool. Control with a motive. When finances are hidden, power shifts silently. Someone felt safer when you did not have full information. But that imbalance cannot survive in light. Heaven is also correcting something inside you. You were conditioned to stay quiet for harmony, to sacrifice clarity to keep relationships smooth. But Archangel Michael says peace built on confusion is not peace, it is pressure. And pressure always leaks eventually. This revelation is releasing you from that weight. There may be moments when you question yourself. You may think, what if I'm wrong? Or what if I'm reading too much into this? That is the old pattern speaking, the part of you trained to doubt your discernment. Archangel Michael says discernment is not paranoia. It is perception sharpened by experience. Another truth arrives now. You are not meant to fix this person. You are not responsible for their choices or their guilt. Your responsibility ends at truth and wisdom. Whatever they choose to do once the truth is fully revealed is between them and heaven. You might notice resistance if you subtly shift your behavior, asking clear questions, setting firmer boundaries, delaying agreements. Resistance confirms importance. When truth fans a false structure, the structure shakes. Archangel Michael also reveals that once this cycle breaks, your financial flow begins to stabilize in unexpected ways. Not because money suddenly appears, but because leakage stops. Misplaced trust realigns. Delays lift. Opportunities you couldn't act on before suddenly feel accessible. Truth clears pathways. Do not underestimate the spiritual significance of this moment. Financial deception within families often travels through generations unchecked. Someone always feels it, but no one names it. Until now. You are the interruption. You are the one heaven trusts with clarity. There is also a warning here, spoken gently. Do not let bitterness take root. Bitterness binds you to the very thing you are being freed from. Justice does not require resentment. Strength does not require coldness. Stay soft, but no longer blind. As you move forward, speak less and observe more. Silence is not submission, it is strategy. Archangel Michael says when the time comes for words, they will land with precision, not regret. Tonight, before you rest, ask heaven one simple thing: show me what I need to see, and guard my heart while I see it. That prayer will be honored. Dreams, thoughts, and sudden clarity may follow. Do not dismiss them. This part of the journey is about internal alignment. When your inner world aligns with truth, the outer world eventually follows. Always. If this message is stirring something deep within you, receive this moment as sacred. What is being uncovered is not meant to shame you, but to position you. Type "I receive divine clarity" in the comments if this message is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 8899 has just been released. When I bring messages like this, I am not speaking for myself. I am answering a call to reach souls who are standing at the edge of truth. Every time you release a seed through super thanks, membership, or even a PayPal gift found in the description, you are lighting a lamp for someone still walking in confusion. I hear the Lord say that those who sow into truth will never lack discernment, and those who release provision will see their own resources guarded. This is not a donation. It is an act of obedience, a response to heaven's timing. Do not delay when your spirit is stirred, because obedience always carries acceleration. I bless every giver now with protected finances, restored balance, and wisdom that multiplies. Step forward and release your seed now. Beloved soul, now the message deepens, and the tone shifts from revelation to preparation. Archangel Michael says that once truth is seen, the next phase is learning how to carry that truth without letting it harden you. Awareness is powerful, but wisdom is what keeps awareness from becoming a burden. This is the stage where many people either grow stronger or grow bitter. Heaven is guiding you towards strength. You may notice that your emotional reactions are different now. Things that once triggered anxiety or confusion no longer have the same grip. That is not numbness, that is clarity. When deception loses power, emotions settle. You are beginning to stand on solid ground again, even if the landscape around you still feels uncertain. Archangel Michael wants you to understand something very important. The truth you now carry is sacred. Not everyone deserves access to it yet. Discernment is not secrecy out of fear, it is stewardship of insight. You are allowed to protect what heaven revealed to you. Silence, when chosen consciously, becomes wisdom. There will be moments when the person involved behaves as if nothing has changed. They may act relaxed, even confident. This is not because the truth is safe. It is because denial often appears calm on the surface. But underneath, pressure builds. Archangel Michael says you do not need to apply pressure yourself. Truth applies its own. You might also experience moments of grief, not over the money itself, but over trust, over the burden of the relationship you thought you had. Allow yourself to feel that grief without shame. Loss of illusion is still a form of loss. But do not camp there. Grief acknowledged becomes wisdom gained. Heaven is also recalibrating your sense of value. For a long time, you may have felt you had to earn honesty, earn transparency, earn respect. That was never true. Respect withheld was not because you lacked worth, but because someone benefited from your silence. That ends now. Archangel Michael says this awareness is already shifting how others perceive you. Even if nothing has been spoken, your energy has changed. You are less easily influenced, less easily dismissed. People feel when someone has awakened, even if they do not know why. Be mindful during this phase not to over-explain yourself. You do not need to justify boundaries. You do not need to provide reasons for caution. Wisdom does not announce itself. It moves quietly and effectively. There may come a moment soon when you are indirectly tested. A request that involves money. A suggestion that requires your agreement. A casual comment designed to gauge how much you know. When that moment comes, pause. You are not required to answer immediately. Delay is not avoidance. It is control. Archangel Michael emphasizes this strongly. Your calm will unsettle dissection more than confrontation ever could. When you are no longer reactive, manipulation loses its grip. When you are no longer desperate for explanations, truth begins to surface on its own. You may also feel a renewed sense of self-respect rising. Decisions feel easier. Saying no feels cleaner. Saying not right now no longer feels like guilt. That is alignment. That is what happens when inner truth and outer action begin to match. Another layer is being revealed now. This situation was not only about finances. It was also about preparing you for leadership in your own life. You are being trained, quietly, precisely, to trust your discernment even when it disrupts comfort. That skill will serve you far beyond this moment. Archangel Michael assures you that heaven is not asking you to cut people off harshly or burn bridges. Wisdom does not require extremes. Sometimes distance is emotional. Sometimes boundaries are internal. Sometimes clarity alone changes the dynamic without a single confrontation. As you continue forward, be gentle with yourself. You did not miss the truth before. You were protected until the right moment. Revelation delayed is not revelation denied. Timing matters in heaven. In the days ahead, you may feel an urge to organize your finances, review documents, or gain more knowledge. Follow that urge. It is part of reclaiming authority. Knowledge restores balance. Preparation restores confidence. Archangel Michael stands as a guardian over this process. He reminds you that nothing revealed by heaven comes without provision to handle it. You are not exposed, you are equipped. Hold this truth close. You are not late, you are not foolish, and you are not powerless. You are awakening at the exact moment heaven ordained. Stay steady. Stay observant. What unfolds next will confirm everything you have begun to see. My beloved one, as this journey continues, Archangel Michael says you are now stepping into the phase of quiet authority. This is where the truth no longer feels heavy in your hands. Instead, it feels steady. You are no longer carrying revelation as a shock, but as understanding. This is a powerful shift, even if it feels subtle. At this stage, you may notice that your inner dialogue has changed. You are no longer asking, "Why did this happen to me?" Instead, you are beginning to ask, "What do I do with what I now know?" That question marks maturity. Heaven always entrusts responsibility to those who can hold it without collapsing. Archangel Michael says something important is happening beneath the surface. While you are adjusting internally, the situation around you is also adjusting externally. Dynamics are shifting. Power is recalibrating. Even if no one has spoken openly yet, the balance is no longer what it was. And balance, once disturbed, cannot return to deception. You may sense moments where the person involved watches you more closely. Their tone may change. Their questions may feel cautious. This is not paranoia. It is awareness. When someone realizes that another person sees clearly, they become uncertain. Truth makes deception nervous. But here is the key. Do not enjoy that power. Do not use awareness as leverage. Archangel Michael warns that using truth to intimidate poisons the very clarity heaven gave you. Authority is not domination. Authority is restraint. This phase is also about healing your relationship with money itself. When financial secrets exist, money becomes emotionally charged. It carries tension, guilt, and confusion. Heaven is now separating money from manipulation in your life. Provision is returning to its rightful place, as a tool, not a weapon. You may feel prompted to restructure things, saving differently, spending more intentionally, asking more questions, learning more. This is not fear, it is stewardship. When deception lifts, wisdom steps in naturally. Another truth is being revealed gently now. You are not meant to carry this alone forever. While silence is wise for a season, isolation is not the goal. In time, heaven will show you who is safe to speak to, who carries maturity without gossip, and who can hold your truth without twisting it. Until then, patience is protection. Archangel Michael says you are being trained to trust the pace of God, not the urgency of emotion. Emotion wants resolution now. Wisdom waits for alignment. What is right often creates regret. What is timed creates peace. You may feel moments of temptation, to test someone, to hint that you know more, to provoke a reaction. Resist that urge. Testing reveals insecurity. Confidence rests without proving anything. The truth does not need bait to surface. This is also the stage where forgiveness begins its quiet work. Forgiveness does not mean excusing behavior or restoring access. Forgiveness means releasing the emotional grip the situation could still have on you. It is possible to forgive and still be discerning. Heaven supports both. Archangel Michael reminds you that forgiveness is not for them. It is for you. It clears your spirit so you can move forward unburdened. Carrying resentment would only delay the very restoration you are stepping into. As clarity increases, you may notice that opportunities begin to align differently. Conversations feel more honest. Decisions feel cleaner. Confusion lifts faster than before. These are signs that you are no longer walking against your own intuition. There is also a restoration of self-trust happening now. You are beginning to believe yourself again, to honor your inner knowing instead of dismissing it. That is one of the greatest returns heaven gives after deception, confidence in your own discernment. Archangel Michael says this moment will echo into your future relationships as well. You will no longer ignore subtle warnings. You will no longer override discomfort to keep peace. This experience is teaching you how to live alert without living afraid. Be gentle with yourself if waves of emotion still rise unexpectedly. Healing is not linear. Some days will feel strong, others reflective. Neither is failure. Both are part of integration. As you continue forward, remain grounded. Do not rush outcomes. Do not demand closure prematurely. Closure is coming, but it will arrive with clarity, not chaos. You are doing better than you realize. What once confused you no longer controls you. What once drained you no longer has access. And what once hid in silence is losing its power with every step you take in awareness. Archangel Michael stands, watch, not just over the truth revealed, but over the peace being restored within you. Stay steady. What unfolds next will bring confirmation, not just of what was hidden, but of who you are becoming. Beloved heart, Archangel Michael says you are now entering a decisive stretch of this journey. This is not the moment of exposure yet, but it is the moment of choice. Not a loud choice spoken to others, but a quiet decision within yourself about who you will be from this point forward. Revelation has done its work. Now alignment must follow. You may notice that situations around you are subtly demanding clarity. Conversations feel more pointed. Responsibilities feel more defined. Where you once drifted along to keep peace, you now feel an inner pause, a sacred hesitation that asks, does this align with what I now know? That pause is wisdom. Do not override it. Archangel Michael says many people fail at this stage, not because they lack truth, but because they fear the discomfort that truth requires. Truth rearranges routines. It challenges familiar roles. It asks you to stop playing parts that were never fair to you, and that can feel unsettling, even when it is right. You are learning that silence and passivity are not the same. Before, silence was something you used to avoid conflict. Now silence is something you use intentionally, from strength. That difference matters in the spirit. Heaven responds differently to silence chosen from clarity than silence born from fear. There may be moments when the person involved attempts to pull you back into old dynamics. Jokes that minimize seriousness. Emotional appeals. Statements like, "Why are you being distant?" Or "You've changed." And they are right. You have changed. You have awakened. But you are not required to explain that change to anyone who benefited from the old version of you. Archangel Michael reminds you that you are not responsible for managing other people's discomfort with your growth. Growth always disrupts unhealthy balance. That disruption is not cruelty, it is correction. You may also feel a new firmness in your boundaries around money. You think twice before agreeing. You ask for clarity without apology. You no longer feel embarrassed to protect your resources. That is restoration. Heaven never intended for provision to be a source of anxiety or manipulation in your life. This stage is also about rebuilding trust, but in the right order. Not blind trust in others, but grounded trust in yourself first. When self-trust is restored, you no longer cling to external validation. You no longer accept vague answers. You no longer betray your own intuition to keep relationships comfortable. Archangel Michael says this is where many cycles truly break. Not when secrets are exposed publicly, but when a person internally decides this will not happen again. That decision reshapes the future. Be mindful during this phase of over-spiritualizing the situation. Discernment does not mean ignoring practical steps. Review details. Stay informed. Keep records. Ask questions. Wisdom works in both the spiritual and the practical realms. Heaven supports preparation, not denial. You may notice moments of temptation to rush closure, to force a conversation, to demand answers. That urgency often comes from emotional fatigue, not divine timing. Archangel Michael says patience here is not delay, it is protection. There is still information aligning behind the scenes. This is also a season where community matters. Not gossip, not drama, but alignment. When you like, share, and comment on messages like this, you are not just engaging with content, you are aligning yourself with others who value truth and clarity. If this message is strengthening you, let it strengthen someone else too. Subscribe to this channel and be part of a space where discernment is sharpened and confusion loses ground. Your engagement matters more than you realize. It creates momentum for clarity to reach others who are still questioning their instincts. Heaven often moves through agreement. When you openly affirm truth, even in simple ways, you give it more room to operate in your life. Do not underestimate that. As this phase continues, you may feel both lighter and more serious at the same time. Lighter because confusion is lifting. More serious because you understand the weight of responsibility that clarity brings. That balance is healthy. It means you are no longer naive, but you are not hardened either. Archangel Michael says something crucial now. You not go backwards to prove you are unchanged. You are not required to reassure others by diminishing yourself. Growth does not need permission. Pay attention to how peace returns in unexpected ways. Sleep improves. Decisions feel cleaner. Your inner world feels quieter. These are signs that alignment is taking root. And before you move ahead, stay present. What unfolds next will connect dots you didn't even realize were part of the same picture. Hold on, because this is where understanding deepens, and you will want to witness what becomes clear next. Beloved one, Archangel Michael says you have crossed an invisible threshold. This is the point where the truth you received is no longer something you are processing. It has become something you are living from. The shift may feel quiet, but it is profound. You are no longer reacting to what was hidden. You are responding from wisdom. At this stage, you may notice a deep sense of emotional detachment from the situation, not indifference, but clarity. The intensity has softened. The urgency has settled. That is not because the issue disappeared, but because it no longer owns your inner world. When truth is integrated, it loses the power to torment. Archangel Michael says this is where spiritual authority becomes visible, even without words. People begin to sense that you are no longer easily influenced. Your presence carries weight. Your silence carries meaning. And your decisions no longer feel negotiable. This is what happens when discernment matures. You may also begin to see the situation from a higher perspective. Instead of asking, "How could they do this to me?" you may find yourself understanding the fear, insecurity, or scarcity mindset that drove their choices. This understanding is not permission, it is perspective. And perspective prevents bitterness from taking root. Heaven is careful here. Understanding without boundaries leads to self-betrayal. Boundaries without understanding lead to hardness. You are being taught to hold both at once. Compassion without access. Awareness without entanglement. The balance is rare, and it is powerful. Archangel Michael reveals that this situation has refined your discernment far beyond finances. You are now more sensitive to energy, intention, and motive in all areas of life. You notice inconsistencies faster. You trust your inner signals sooner. You no longer need repeated proof to believe what your spirit confirms. This refinement will affect your future decisions deeply. Relationships, partnerships, commitments. You will not enter them the same way again. You will move slower, ask clearer questions, and expect transparency without apology. That is not fear, it is wisdom earned. There may still be moments when the person involved attempts to normalize the old dynamic, acting as if nothing changed, making assumptions that you will continue as before. Archangel Michael says this is where your consistency matters. not confrontation, consistency. When your actions no longer align with deception, the dynamic must adjust or collapse. This phase can feel lonely at times, not because you are alone, but because you are no longer participating in illusions others still depend on. That gap can feel isolating, but Evan says this separation is temporary. It creates space for healthier connections to emerge. You are also learning that clarity does not always bring immediate resolution. Sometimes, clarity simply allows you to live well before resolution arrives. That is not injustice. That is preparation. When resolution does come, you will meet it from strength, not desperation. Archangel Michael says something important here. You are no longer waiting for permission to protect yourself. That internal permission is one of the greatest breakthroughs a person can have. Many people know the truth, but still wait for validation to act on it. You are not doing that anymore. You may feel an increasing sense of dignity in how you carry yourself. You speak less but with intention. You agree less but with clarity. You explain less but stand more firmly. This is the fruit of discernment. It simplifies life. Another subtle shift is happening. Your relationship with trust is being rebuilt on truth, not hope alone. Hope without discernment leads to disappointment. Discernment without hope leads to cynicism. Heaven is restoring both in balance. Archangel Michael also wants you to know that your restraint had been noticed. In moments where you could have reacted emotionally, you chose wisdom. In moments where you could have exposed prematurely, you waited. That self-control is not weakness. It is spiritual maturity. Heaven honors it. You may begin to feel gratitude, not for what happened, but for who you became through it. Gratitude that you can now see clearly. Gratitude that you did not lose yourself in bitterness. Gratitude that truth came before greater damage was done. That gratitude signals healing. As you continue forward, resist the urge to replay old conversations in your mind. Rumination reopens doors that wisdom already closed. The past has taught you what it needed to teach. You are not meant to live there. Archangel Michael says you are now positioned to move forward without carrying suspicion into every interaction. You are alert but not guarded. Aware but not closed. The balance protects your peace. Stay steady in this place. What is coming next will not shock you. It will confirm you. And confirmation brings a different kind of peace. One that does not depend on answers but on alignment. Remain present. The unfolding is not finished yet. My beloved child, Archangel Michael says this is the moment where heaven seals what has been revealed. Not sealed to hide it again, but sealed within you, so that no one can confuse you, gaslight you, or pull you back into uncertainty. This is the stage of spiritual confirmation. What you sensed, what you observed, what you pieced together quietly is now being anchored as truth in your spirit. You may feel a strange calm settling in. Not relief yet, not celebration, but certainty. Certainty does not shout. You rest. And that is exactly what is happening inside you now. The questions that once circled your mind are slowing down. Not because you have every answer, but because you no longer need them to trust what you know. Archangel Michael says this calm is a shield. When truth settles deeply, it guards you from manipulation disguised as emotion. You may notice that emotional appeals no longer move you the same way. You can feel compassion without surrendering clarity. That is growth. This is also the phase where the situation may attempt one final adjustment. Not escalation, but subtle rearrangement. A quiet attempt to normalize things. A suggestion to move on without acknowledgement. A hope that time alone will blur what you now see clearly. Heaven is showing you this not to frustrate you, but to confirm that your awareness is accurate. Understand this. Not every truth ends in confession. Some truths end in changed access. Change of begin. Change influence. That is still justice. Archangel Michael reminds you that justice is not always loud. It is often structural. You may realize now that you no longer need closure in the form of apologies or explanations. Closure is happening internally. You are closing doors to confusion. You are closing agreements you never consciously made. You are closing the chapter where your trust was assumed rather than honored. This internal closure is powerful. It frees you without needing permission from anyone else. Another layer is being revealed now. Heaven did not just expose a financial secret, it exposed a pattern. And once you see a pattern, it loses its ability to repeat unchecked. This pattern may have existed long before you noticed it. Others may have felt it but avoided naming it. You are the one who broke the silence internally. That matters. Archangel Michael says your future will be different because of this moment. You will not ignore subtle warnings anymore. You will not dismiss discomfort as imagination. You will not override discernment to maintain surface peace. This experience has recalibrated you permanently. You may also feel a renewed respect for yourself. Not pride, but dignity. The kind that comes from knowing you did not betray yourself, even when it would have been easier to look away. That self-respect will protect you in ways money never could. As this phase completes, allow yourself to rest emotionally. You have carried a lot quietly. Processing, observing, restraining reactions. Rest is not avoidance. It is integration. When the soul rests, truth settles deeper. Archangel Michael says something very important here. What you did not confront emotionally, heaven is handling strategically. You are not missing justice by staying wise. You are allowing a higher order to work without interference. Now receive this moment as a turning point. Not dramatic, not explosive, but definitive. You are no longer wondering. You are no longer guessing. You know enough to move differently, and that is power. Type "I stand in truth" in the comments if this message is confirming what your spirit already knows. Blessing code 4448 has just been released. And as this truth seals within you, key this invitation flowing from it. When I speak these messages, I am answering a divine assignment to shine light where families sit in silence and confusion. Every seed you release through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, linked in the description, becomes a river of light reaching souls who are still questioning their discernment. I hear the Lord saying that those who sow into revelation will reap protection, and those who fund truth will walk in guarded provision. This is not about supporting a channel. This is about partnering with heaven's timing. Do not hesitate when your spirit recognizes this moment, because delayed obedience often delays blessing. I bless every giver now with financial clarity, restored authority, and favor that exposes deception before it touches them. Act now, and release your seed as a prophetic response. Beloved soul, Archangel Michael says you are now moving in the aftermath of truth, and this phase is quieter than the others, but no less important. This is where life begins to reorganize itself around the clarity you now carry. Nothing dramatic may appear on the surface, yet internally, a deep realignment is taking place. You are no longer walking in reaction, you are walking in direction. You may notice that your priorities are shifting. Things that once demanded your emotional energy no longer feel worthy of it. Conversations that once drained you now feel optional. You are becoming more selective, not out of pride, but out of self-respect. Discernment has taught you the value of your attention. Archangel Michael says this is the stage where wisdom becomes practical. You apply what you learned without needing reminders. You pause before agreeing. You listen more carefully than you speak. You no longer feel rushed to resolve what does not require immediate action. This steadiness is the fruit of maturity. There is also a subtle grief that may surface unexpectedly. Not sharp pain, but a quiet sadness over what could have been if honesty had been present from the beginning. Allow that grief its space. Do not suppress it, and do not dramatize it. Acknowledge it, then let it pass. Grief honored briefly does not linger. You are also beginning to see how this experience protected you from future harm. Had the truth remained hidden longer, deeper entanglements could have formed. Decisions could have been made that were harder to undo. Heaven intervened early, not because you were weak, but because you were ready. Archangel Michael reminds you that readiness does not mean eagerness. You did not ask for this situation. You endured it. And endurance is often the qualification heaven looks for before releasing clarity. At this stage, you may find that your intuition is sharper than ever. You sense shifts in tone. You feel pauses between words. You notice what is not said as clearly as what is said. This sensitivity is not meant to make you suspicious. It is meant to keep you aware. Awareness without fear is a powerful state. You may also realize that you are no longer seeking validation for your perceptions. Earlier, you may have wished someone would confirm what you felt. Now, confirmation is internal. You trust yourself. That self-trust is one of the greatest restorations that follows deception. Archangel Michael says this restoration will ripple outward. Your decisions will become clearer. Your boundaries will feel natural instead of forced. Your yes will carry more weight because your no is now honest. People will sense this even if they cannot explain it. There may be moments when the person involved acts as though time has erased the issue. They may speak casually, as if everything returned to normal. But you know better. Normal has changed. And that is not a loss. It is progress. This phase is also about forgiveness reaching its final form. Not forgiveness as an emotional declaration, but forgiveness as freedom. You are no longer emotionally bound to what happened. You do not replay it. You do not rehearse conversations in your mind. You carry the lesson, not the wound. Archangel Michael emphasizes that this freedom does not require reconciliation. Reconciliation requires mutual honesty. Freedom requires only your release. You have done your part. As you move forward, you may feel drawn to simplicity, cleaner routines, clearer finances, fewer obligations. This is not withdrawal, it is alignment. When clarity enters, excess falls away naturally. Another important shift is happening now. Your faith is becoming quieter but stronger. You no longer need constant reassurance. You have seen how heaven reveals truth at the right time. That trust settles deep. You know now that what you need to know will be shown to you when you are ready to handle it. Archangel Michael says this trust will serve you in future seasons. When confusion arises again, as it sometimes does in life, you will not panic. You will remember this moment. You will remember that clarity came, not because you forced it, but because you stayed open and grounded. You may also begin to notice a return of joy in small things. Peaceful moments, clear decisions, restful silence. These are signs that your nervous system is recovering from prolonged uncertainty. Healing often looks ordinary, but it is profound. As this part of the journey settles, take time to acknowledge how far you have come. You did not break. You did not explode. You did not lose yourself. You learned. You adapted. You grew. Archangel Michael stands with you now, not as a warrior revealing truth, but as a guardian preserving peace. The battle for clarity has passed. Now comes the season of stability. Remain present. One final layer still awaits, not to reopen wounds, but to bring complete integration. What comes next will feel less like revelation and more like resolution. Stay open. My beloved one, Archangel Michael says you are now standing at a moment of internal resolution. Not everything around you has spoken yet, but you have settled. This is the phase where truth stops feeling like something that happened to you and starts feeling like something that strengthened you. You are no longer defined by what was hidden. You are defined by what you chose to do once you saw clearly. You may notice that your emotional reactions are far more measured now. Situations that once would have stirred anxiety barely touch you. This is not because you have become distant or cold. It is because your inner foundation has been repaired. When a foundation is strong, tremors do not cause collapse. Archangel Michael says this is the stage where heaven watches closely, not to test you, but to confirm that alignment has taken root. Alignment shows itself in small decisions. The way you respond instead of react. The way you pause instead of rush. The way you protect your peace without explaining yourself. These are not minor changes. They are evidence of growth. You are also becoming aware of how much energy was previously lost to uncertainty. Questioning motives. Replaying conversations. Second-guessing your instincts. A drain has stopped, and with it comes an unexpected return of strength. Mental clarity improves. Focus sharpens. Rest feels deeper. These are signs that your system is no longer under constant internal stress. Archangel Michael reminds you that prolonged confusion is exhausting, even when you appear calm on the outside. Now that clarity has settled, your soul is recovering. Let it. Do not fill the quiet with unnecessary noise. Peace is not emptiness. It is restoration. This phase may also bring moments of reflection where you recognize how differently you will move going forward. You are not becoming suspicious. You are becoming discerning. You are not becoming guarded. You are becoming wise. Here is a difference, and heaven honors it. You may feel less compelled to explain your decisions to others. Earlier, you might have over-explained to avoid misunderstanding. Now, you trust that those who respect you will understand, and those who do not were never owed full access anyway. The shift is subtle, but it changes everything. Archangel Michael says this is also where confidence returns. Not loud confidence, but grounded confidence. The kind that does not need approval. The kind that does not collapse under pressure. The kind that allows you to say less and mean more. There may still be occasional thoughts about the situation, but they no longer carry emotional charge. They feel informational, not painful. That is healing. When memory loses its sting, the lesson remains without the wound. This is also the moment where your clarity can quietly help others. Not by preaching, not by exposing, but by example. People may notice your calm, your decisiveness, your refusal to be pulled into drama. They may not know why, but they will feel the difference. Light does not announce itself, it influences. If this message has walked with you through confusion into clarity, take a moment now to engage with it. Like this message so it can reach someone else who is still doubting their discernment. Share it with a soul who needs reassurance that clarity comes in time. Leave a comment declaring that you are choosing wisdom over confusion. And subscribe to this channel so you stay connected to messages that strengthen your spirit and sharpen your understanding. When you engage, you are not just supporting a video, you are aligning yourself with truth-driven growth. And stay with me here, because what comes next is subtle but powerful. This next unfolding is where everything you learn begins to shape your future decisions in ways you may not expect. Trust me, this is where it gets especially meaningful. Archangel Michael also speaks about restoration now. Not dramatic repayment, not sudden windfalls, but restoration of order. When truth enters, order follows. Financial decisions become clearer. Priorities realign. Waste decreases. Stewardship improves. This is how heaven restores, through wisdom that compounds over time. You may feel prompted to simplify aspects of your life. Fewer obligations. Clearer boundaries. More intentional choices. This simplification is not loss. It is refinement. When clutter leaves, clarity extends. Another important confirmation arrives here. You were never foolish for trusting. Trust is not the problem. Misdirected trust is. And now, your trust has matured. It is guided by discernment rather than assumption. That is a strength, not a scar. Archangel Michael says this season has trained you to listen inwardly before responding outwardly. That skill will protect you again and again. It will save you time, energy, and regret in ways you may never fully see. As you move forward, carry this truth gently but firmly. You do not need to revisit what you have already resolved. Resolution does not require repetition. Growth does not require rehearsal. The past has given you what it needed to give. Stand tall in this place of integration. You are not waiting anymore. You are walking. And what comes next will not shake you. It will simply confirm that clarity was never meant to break you, but to build you. Stay present. The final unfolding draws near. Beloved soul, Archangel Michael says you are now standing in a season of quiet mastery. This is not the loud victory the mind imagines, but the deep stability the spirit longs for. What once felt uncertain no longer has the power to disturb your inner balance. You are not celebrating because there is nothing left to prove. Peace has become your evidence. At this stage, you may notice that the situation itself had lost urgency in your thoughts. Not because it lacked importance, but because it no longer defines you. You are no longer orienting your decisions around what was hidden or what might be revealed. You are orienting your life around truth as a principle, not a reaction. That shift marks true freedom. Archangel Michael says this is where wisdom settles into habit. You are no longer consciously reminding yourself to be careful or discerning. It happens naturally now. You listen fully. You sense motives quietly. You move thoughtfully. This is discernment woven into character. You may also realize that your emotional resilience has increased. Things that once would have unsettled you emotionally now pass through without leaving residue. This does not mean you feel less. It means you recover faster. Recovery is a sign of strength, not indifference. There is also a subtle confidence in how you carry yourself now. Not arrogance, not defensiveness, but grounded assurance. You no longer feel the need to convince others of your perspective. You trust that truth does not require constant explanation. Those who need to know will see it in time. Archangel Michael says something important here. The absence of confrontation does not mean the absence of justice. Justice often works through redirection rather than exposure. Access changes. Influence shifts. Dependence dissolves. And life rearranges itself in ways that restore balance quietly but effectively. You may notice that financial matters feel clearer now. Not because everything is perfect, but because confusion is no longer part of the equation. You understand where you stand. You know what you are responsible for and what you are not. That clarity alone removes a tremendous burden. This stage also brings a sense of emotional maturity in relationships. You are less reactive to others' moods. You do not internalize what does not belong to you. You recognize when someone is projecting rather than speaking truth. And instead of absorbing it, you let it pass. Archangel Michael reminds you that maturity is not about becoming harder. It is about becoming steadier. You can hold compassion without being pulled into dysfunction. You can remain kind without becoming permissive. This balance is the mark of a soul that has learned through experience rather than theory. There may be moments when the past tries to resurface, not through events but through memory. A sudden thought, a remembered conversation. When that happens, notice how different your response is now. There is no spike of emotion, no spiral of questioning, just awareness. That is healing completed. You are also beginning to trust timing in a deeper way. You have seen that clarity arrived when you were ready, not when you demanded it. That lesson will stay with you. It will help you wait without anxiety and act without hesitation when the moment is right. Archangel Michael says this trust in timing will protect you from rushing future decisions. You will sense when something is premature and when it is aligned. That sensitivity is a gift refined through experience. Another quiet transformation is taking place. Your relationship with control is changing. Earlier, uncertainty may have made you want to control outcomes to feel safe. Now, clarity allows you to release control without fear. You know you can respond wisely to whatever unfolds. That confidence reduces the need to manage everything. You may also feel more present in daily life, more attentive, less distracted by internal noise. When the mind is no longer consumed by unresolved questions, it has space to enjoy what is actually happening. This presence is a sign of peace returning fully. Archangel Michael says you are now living from truth rather than searching for it. A distinction matters. Searching is restless. Living is settled. You have crossed that line. There is one final thing being prepared, not another revelation, not another test, but a confirmation that will come in the form of alignment. A moment where you realize, without drama, that things are simply better, clearer, lighter, more ordered. That moment will feel ordinary, but it will mean everything. Do not rush toward it. Let it arrive naturally. Completion does not need to be forced. As this journey nears its close, carry this with you. You did not lose anything essential in this process. You gained clarity, wisdom, and self-trust. Those are assets no one can take from you. Archangel Michael stands beside you now, not to warn or reveal, but to affirm. You handled this season with restraint, integrity, and courage. Heaven honors that. Remain grounded. One file unfolding remains, not to teach you something new, but to seal what has already been built within you. Part 12, my beloved child. Archangel Michael says you have arrived at the closing of this cycle, and this closing is not marked by noise, confrontation, or dramatic exposure. It is marked by completion. Completion inside you. The kind that does not need explanation, defense, or validation. What heaven set out to show you has been fully revealed, fully processed, and fully integrated. You are no longer standing at the edge of truth. You are standing on it. There is a deep calm around you now, and that calm is not accidental. It is the evidence that confusion no longer has authority over your spirit. Where questions once echoed, there is now quiet knowing. Where doubt once lingered, there is now discernment that feels settled and sure. Archangel Michael says this is how divine closure works. Not everyone receives apologies. Not every situation ends with admission. But every obedient soul receives peace. And peace is the highest form of justice heaven releases. You may look back and realize that the fear you once had about knowing the truth was heavier than the truth itself. The waiting, the sensing, the quiet discomfort, that was the hardest part. Once clarity arrived, it strengthened you rather than breaking you. That is how you know this revelation came from God. You are also stepping into a new identity now. Not someone who was deceived, but someone who is discerning. Not someone who was aware, but someone who sees clearly. Do not carry the old label forward. Heaven has rewritten it. Archangel Michael wants you to hear this clearly. This situation will not follow you into the next season of your life. It has taught you what it needed to teach you. It has refined you where refinement was needed. It has ended its assignment. Your future decisions will carry the wisdom of this moment, but not the weight of it. You will move forward lighter, clearer, and more confident in your ability to hear truth when it matters. You may also notice that your faith feels quieter but deeper now. You do not need constant signs or reassurance. You have seen how heaven speaks when the timing is right. That trust is anchored. You know now that what is hidden cannot outrun divine timing forever. Archangel Michael says you are protected from repeating this cycle. Not because you are guarded by fear, but because you are guided by discernment. A distinction changes everything. As this message completes, allow yourself to release the final remnants of emotional attachment to what was hidden. You do not need to carry it as proof of growth. Growth is already evident in who you are now. Stand tall in this truth. You handled this season with restraint, wisdom, and courage. You did not explode. You did not deny. You did not harden. You allowed truth to do its work in you. That is rare, and heaven honors it. Type "I walk in divine wisdom" in the comments if you are receiving this completion. Blessing code 7316 is now activated over your discernment, your finances, and your future decisions. And now, hear this final word flowing naturally from the closing of this journey. When I release messages like this, it is because heaven has entrusted me to speak clarity into lives where confusion has ruled for too long. Every seed you release through super thanks, channel membership, or PayPal, linked in the description, becomes a living act of obedience that helps this light reach souls still standing in silence, sensing something is wrong but not knowing why. I hear the Lord saying that those who sow into truth will never walk blindly again, and those who give to revelation will see deception exposed before it harms them. This is not support for a channel. This is partnership with a divine assignment. Do not delay what your spirit is responding to right now, because obedience seals blessing. I speak protection, multiplication, and divine order over every giver. Release your seed now and stand with us as we continue spreading God's truth without compromise.